Hey, everybody, and welcome to episode 76 of the Galactic Window Space Podcast. My name is Nick, and sometimes when I'm immersed in the Italian Renaissance, I am known as the Orbital Alliance.
And I am Tan, also known as Chasing the Milk.
Wait a minute. Tan. No, I'm just kidding. He's not here. I just wanted to be a total buffoon. I made a sound recording of Tan because he's not here tonight, you guys. so, no Tan, but I did press it, and that is about as good as we're going to get tonight. And that's okay. Tan, we miss you. Sorry you can't be here. But you guys, if you're watching the chat, please give Tan some love. Say hello, and be sure to check out his live streams if he hops on again. I know he did something cool. He's out in Utah this weekend. So this week, it's not the weekend. What day is it? I don't know anymore. But he was streaming some beautiful scenery earlier this evening, and yeah, send him your best. Say hello on his social platforms and show him some love. But you guys, we're back again for another episode of this Space and Astronomy podcast. Thanks for coming to hang out with us live. If you're over on YouTube, we appreciate it. Be sure to share the link with those who also may enjoy learning a little bit about space, because everybody's welcome. That's all that it takes to be here is one, be a human being, and two, enjoy learning about space. You don't need to know anything, no required prior knowledge. Just show up and come with a spirit of learning, right? That's all we care about here. So definitely send a message to your friends like, hey, come hang out with me in this live stream. It's a good time. And if you're tuning in with us after the fact, either on the video replay or in the audio only versions, we appreciate you as well, and we hope you're enjoying the show. But yeah, it's good to see you all here. Let me check in with the chat and see how you guys are doing. Welcome in Mr. Daniel, Tiffy, Becca, Blue Eyed, Punky. What's happening? Thank you all for hanging out with us and communicating in the live chat. Be sure to have a good time. I also want to say appreciation to Becca and Blue Eye for continuing to mod for us and support the chat experience. Always trying to make it not only one that you can learn in, but also a safe one, making sure that everything is curated and kept in such a fashion and in order that everybody can enjoy themselves. So shout out to the mods in the chat. Thank you very much for always being here. But you guys, like I was saying, Tan's not here this week, so I'm flying solo. He will be back next week, as far as I know. So we'll be resuming our regularly scheduled programming experience. But tonight, what I'm going to do is I'm going to have some fun with you guys. I am going to give you a little bit of a space news update, because there's always something going on in the world of space, and I think staying afloat with the latest is important. It makes you feel like you're part of the history, as it's unfolding in real time, right? There's always something cool going on. But then I'm also going to do maybe kind of the meat and potatoes of the show are going to be space acronyms. I was thinking about it, and I was like, man, space has the best acronyms, and there are so many of them that I thought, hey, let's actually just dedicate a portion of time about that, because why not? It's just something kind of obscure, but also so critical to the world of space flight and beyond. Acronyms are important. And I thought maybe we would do a little bit of like a quiz with those of you who are here in the chat, and you can kind of guess at what some of these things are. And we can kind of learn along the way. So we'll get to that later in the show. So be sure to stick around with us and check it out. And so you don't miss it. But before we get started into some of the good stuff, I want to remind you all that last week, Tan and I announced something super cool, and that is that we now have merch for the podcast available. So you can go to orbitalalliance.store through the URL here on the screen for you all to read. If you don't know how to spell it, that's okay. It's right here for you. So it's orbitalalliance.store. And there you can now purchase hats, t-shirts, and hoodies for the podcast, which is super cool. Here's the shirt. I have a t-shirt on hand. It's black with white logo over it. Let me back up here. There we go. Nice and comfy, nice and soft for you all. Got the t-shirt. And then we've got a hoodie. This is the heavy hoodie. This is the off-white color that I have here. It says the Galactic window on it in black. My version is the less superior version compared to the ones that you guys can buy. The ones you guys can buy have space and astronomy on the sleeve. So space and astronomy right there. It's like a bonus printing. Mine is the early print, so it doesn't have that. But this is what it looks like. Super big, super loose, super heavy, and extra comfy, especially when you wear it while watching your favorite space and astronomy video podcasts every Monday night at 9 p.m. See what I did there? It's just how it goes. But all those are available right now, and you don't have to buy anything ever. Like, you don't have to. But if you do watch the show regularly and you want to support the programming, you can purchase a shirt or a hoodie or a hat or whatever, and that'll go right into keeping the show alive, which we are entirely grateful for. And you get something cool to wear and represent out in the wild. And you can tell people when they inevitably ask, "Hey, what's that weird looking shirt you're wearing? What's that nonsense on there?" You can tell them exactly what it means. So yeah, we're really excited about it. We had a really great launch week. Honestly, Tan and I had no idea what to expect. We were like, "Hey, we've been wanting to launch a store for a long time. We should at least have something out there that people can buy to support the show." And gosh, we probably talked about it a year ago about actually making it happen, and here we are. But yeah, we had 11 people buy hoodies, which is great. So honestly, I didn't expect even one. I didn't know if anybody was willing to drop a dime, But 11 people decided to support, which is amazing. So thank you if you purchased a hoodie so far, and don't forget there are other things you can buy too, which is cool. I'm actually probably going to buy myself a hat so I can see it, because I have not purchased one of the hats for myself yet. I'm very curious how those feel. I know they're embroidered; they got embroidery on it, so hopefully it feels nice. But maybe when you guys can pick one of those up and let me know what you think. And like we said last week, we definitely want to know your feedback on the products, because this is our first run doing it, and you guys are a little bit of our test subjects, as are we. When we got our samples, we kind of were like, "Hey, are these good enough?" Let us know what you think. Give us your honest feedback. And if you are wearing any of our merch, be sure to take a picture of yourself or a video and tag us on social media while you're wearing it, so people can see and we can chime in and cheer you on as you're wearing some cool stuff out there. What's up, Tans? How's it going? Tanzanite in the chat. Will, I see you there. Deep Sky Dude jumping in. Thank you all for continuing the conversation in the live chat. Apologize if I don't keep up with it as much. A little bit difficult to talk and read at the same time, but I'll do my best throughout the night. So yeah, the other thing too, I think I hope it works. You guys have to let me know. But on the video on YouTube underneath, there should be links to all the shirts and the hat now on the video page. So every time you come to the stream, like there's like a shopping row, like right under the video by the description. Hopefully that's there. So you guys let me know if it is or not. Yes. Cool. So let me, oh yeah, you know what I should do? I should probably just throw up some pictures here really quick. I have those queued up. So here's the hat or the hoodie, black hoodie. You can get the off-white or the bone color hoodie. And then the t-shirt and the hat. There it is. Oh yeah. That's right. Cool. All right, you guys, let's jump in. Let's talk about the space news. So we've spent now 2 weeks talking a little bit with Tan, because he's sort of been our on location in the field Galactic window correspondent for the show, reporting on his findings for SLS and Orion getting ready to launch for the Artemis 2 mission from Kennedy Space Center in Florida, which is awesome. History being made, potentially taking humans back to the moon, well, around the moon, and then later on Artemis 3 back to the surface. But he's down there, or was down there. He's returned since then, but he had been giving us all these updates and images and amazing stories. But the plot continues in a way. As a lot of you know, the mission was delayed, which we all kind of expected. It was supposed to launch a while ago. And it got pushed to supposed to be March 6th after the wet dress rehearsal failed, which means the kind of the practice fueling and run through of the program, the launch program. There was some errors with that initially. Then they resolved I think there was a hydrogen leak, something like that. and they fixed the valve, and then they delayed it. But then there was another wet dress rehearsal that happened, and it was successful up until just after, like kind of the post event. They determined that there is a helium leak now on the rocket. So, as with all of these things that happen with space flight, safety is absolutely far and above the largest priority, especially when it's a human rated launch vehicle like SLS is. They're playing it extra cautious. So there has been, basically at this point, they've decided, hey, we need to fix this. And this time we can't fix it on a launch pad. We got to bring SLS back to the vehicle assembly building, the VAB. And that's that huge, large box, that concrete box where they assemble all of NASA's historic rockets all the way back to the Saturn V in the 60s and 70s. And yeah, that's kind of a bummer, which means that they have basically delayed the Artemis 2 launch until April at the earliest. So that's kind of the big news item with this portion is, hey, Artemis 2 got pushed back even further, which is a bummer, of course. It keeps getting pushed back. This also happened with Artemis 1 all throughout that year. I think it was 2022. They delayed and delayed and delayed. They had problems. And then it finally went, and even then it wasn't problem free. It kind of was really lucky that it happened. But Artemis 2 being a crewed mission, as we've talked about before in the show, is just increases the severity for how seriously they should be taking every single tiny problem. Because, one little leak here, one shaky valve there, one loose connection there might mean catastrophic failure for not only the crew, but the entire mission. Everything just kind of could be problematic. So they're going to be pulling it back to the VAB, repairing it, and hopefully the technicians are able to fix it within a reasonable time frame to get it back to the launch pad at 39B at Kennedy Space Center. And then they can aim for that early April launch window, which is only a couple of days. Because remember, they got to time it up with the moon. They got to be able to launch at the specific rate, the orientation and connection with the moon. Otherwise, they basically have to wait another month if they miss that window. So it's likely they'll have to do the repairs, bring it all the way back out to 39B, the launch pad, do another wet dress rehearsal, confirm that everything is fine, all the problems were resolved, and then they'll be able to commit to a launch time. So that also means for the crew who have been kind of constantly in the quarantine mode, which astronauts do ahead of flight to space, is usually, I think it's up to 2 weeks, they will spend time in quarantine with just the crew. And that means kind of like how we all were familiar with that word for several years, that you're staying away from other people. You are eliminating the factor and the risk of virus and infection. You don't want to be bringing that up to places like the International Space Station, or into a tight confined space like the Orion capsule for 10 days, where everyone's going to be kind of bottled up in extreme close quarters. And then you put the entire crew at risk if one person gets infected. It's like, hey, Joe Smith on the crew went to the bars the night before the launch, and he got crazy, and he was like dancing up on people, having a straight up hootenanny of a time, and actually he got a real nasty head cold. It's like you don't want that to happen. So they get rid of that factor completely, and it's standard procedure for them to quarantine. So a little bit grueling for them to be kind of brought in and out of that quarantine phase, and now we have to basically wait a whole extra 4 weeks, 5 weeks, really, if you think about it, where they're going to have to be delayed. I don't know if they stay in quarantine or if they come out of it and then return to it in a couple of weeks, but either way, it's kind of jarring, especially for the families of the crew, right? Like they have to endure what that experience is. Like, hey, we're without our spouses and our father or our mother. Like we're without these people in our life for that much longer. That's not an easy thing, but at the same time, got to keep in mind that this is exactly what astronauts sign up for. This is exactly what their families acknowledge when they go through this multi-year, sometimes multi-decade process of becoming a professional astronaut, a career astronaut. is that these parts are of being removed from your family and your friends and your daily life. Um, Sometimes it gets delayed, sometimes it gets expanded and extended. Look at the Starliner mission last year that headlines blew way out of proportion. But hey, that crew, it was supposed to be an 8-day mission, became an 8-month mission. They knew exactly what was going on and that risk could be the case. They were ready for it, and so were their families. But it doesn't mean it's not hard. It doesn't mean that there isn't a cost. And the same thing applies here, just on a much smaller scale, hopefully. But just something to keep in mind is like that the crew will be kind of in and out of this limbo, but they're ready. They're ready on standby. They're trained and prepared. And when they do get the chance, everything will be fine. There's one thing astronauts do well is keep cool under pressure. So that'll be cool. So stay informed with them too. I know a lot of them are on social media posting quite a bit on their personal accounts, like Reed Wiseman, Victor Glover, Christina Cook, and Jeremy Hansen. Check all of them out and see what they're up to. Might be worth kind of checking in on those astronauts who are going to be going around the moon, hopefully in a month. But all this be said, even though Artemis 2 isn't launching, it's still exciting to follow. Like Tan's experience of being able to go down and photograph the rocket, that opportunity is available for you guys too, if you think about it. So as they bring back the rocket from the launch pad back to the VAB, you could go down and watch that from across the water and from Titusville, Florida, if you want. You don't have to be right up next to it where you can't get. Like, you can be kind of far away. Take out your phone, go to 10 times zoom and get a picture of history, and then as they roll it back out, you have another chance to see this rocket that it's going to take humans around the moon, like from very safe distance. There's a lot you can do with the equipment you have in your pocket. And bonus, if you've got a camera with a special lens or a telescope that you can mount a camera to, maybe you guys are already down there for a vacation in Florida and you just happen to be there. Like, make the effort. It'll be cool. And of course, we'll keep you posted as we learn more here on the show, and you guys can, kind of stay in touch with the latest. So we'll do our best to keep you all informed. One thing I thought was interesting that worth noting is we haven't really talked about this, but the current NASA administrator, we talked about it a little bit last year, I think, in anticipation, because there was sort of a gap where we had an acting NASA administrator, that transitions when the president swaps out for their term. And we have one for each presidential era. And the current phase had sort of a blip because President Trump didn't put in an administrator immediately, and he had originally nominated Jared Isaacman, who is known for the Inspiration 4 mission and the Polaris Dawn mission with SpaceX, these private missions. He nominated him. He's also a very, very successful credit card processing company. If you've ever heard of Shift4, if you've ever been at Potbelly or something, and you look at the credit card terminals and it says Shift4. I don't know if they're a Potbelly, but that's his company that he was on. I don't think he works there anymore, but he very well-established human being and a twice-flown private astronaut. He was nominated, but there was a bit of a kerfuffle with getting his approval in Congress. It went back and forth, but he actually ended up becoming the NASA administrator, which is, I think, the best thing that's probably ever happened to that role so far. It's kind of the first time that's ever happened that there's been a commercial astronaut who's become that. Like, there's been NASA astronauts who've become NASA administrators, like Charlie Bolden, and several others, I think. But it's kind of a cool historic thing. But I think he's got a really unique perspective on the situation at NASA, and this Artemis 2 mission he's like literally came in like at the beginning of the year, I think, jumping in as this is about to take off. And he actually made some posts being extremely transparent. And that's kind of how he's always been. Even with his own missions, he was like super candid about the good and the bad. And he was like that with his business as well. And he's now bringing that experience into NASA, which I think for the most part is hard to do, because especially being kind of a political appointee, a lot historically, administrators have kind of a little bit of a script to stick to. And Jared seems to be disproving that. And he's kind of sticking to his own guns and leaning into his own integrity and his own candor and really trying to make sure that people understand not only the importance of what's going on, but hey, if there's an issue, here it is, here's what we're doing, and here's why it might not work. And that's okay. Like he wants the public to know like what the real problem is. And he made some really great comments about Artemis 2 recently, which I thought were incredibly helpful. So definitely go look up some of his comments online. I think he's posted a lot of those to X because a lot of space news gets posted there. And it seems to be kind of the in the moment hub for launch announcements, launch comments, especially from launch providers, government agencies, places like that, and of course officials like Jared Isaacman, the NASA administrator. So it's it's a really interesting time for flight. And I think the best thing that we can have right now for Artemis 2 is to have like visibility about what's happening. Clearly, things aren't going as planned. They haven't been for several years. However, every step of the way is still progress, and we get to watch it unfold. And the last thing I think any of us need are cover ups and like, hey, everything's great. But why are you bringing it back? Well, if everything's great, like nobody wants to hear that. So getting actually in detail breakdowns of here are the issues, here's what we're going to fix, and here's the next steps without any like overly optimistic promises. That's what we need. So let's just keep in line with the news that we do get, and hopefully we get optimistic outcomes very shortly. So it's a good time. Artemis 2, big news item for sure. Let me know in the chat, you guys. How excited are you still for Artemis 2? Have you kind of let it sit in or like settle in with you that humans will be in the closer proximity with the moon than ever before? And if you're watching after the fact, leave a comment on the video and let us know. Or if you're listening, come find this video and also leave a comment. We'd love to hear your opinions. Excuse me, and we'll share them if you guys pop them in here. Becca says, I still can't wait. That's right. Still can't wait. Tiffy says, still stoked. It will happen eventually. Rock on. Tom Heil, how's it going, Tom? Tom says, I'll be glued to the launch. That's right. Nice. Hope y'all are behaving in the chat. I see some questions about behaving. You ain't misbehaving. Blue Eyed says, I can't wait until they go through the Van Allen belt. The Van Allen radiation belt. I know very little about it. All I know is that there's this region in cislunar space, the space between low Earth orbit and the moon, where there's like a hyperdense radiation. I think it has to do with our Steph. Please update me a little bit if you can. There's kind of like it's where our Earth's influence kind of ends, and you're kind of in deep space. There's nothing to protect you from it, from the solar radiation. So you kind of leave that protection of like the magnetosphere, or the you know what I'm talking about, magnetic field. There we go. And that it's potentially riskier to go through for astronauts. And I'm sure we'll get plenty of critical data on this mission as they do that. But yeah, let me know what it is that makes you excited about it. Tom Heil says, I grew up watching all the Gemini and Apollo missions. Okay, I gotta know, Tom, how many of the space shuttle missions did you watch fly? And for those who aren't as familiar with the space shuttle program that launched from 1981 to 2011, there were 135 missions. So there's a lot. So I'd be curious, Tom, if you can name a number. You just fill us in the chat and let us know. And if you're just tuning into the show, thank you guys so much for tuning in. Tan is not here tonight. It's just me. We're having a good time discussing some space news items like Artemis 2 being delayed. And if you have any space news items that you are aware of that you saw pop up this past week, chime in the chat. Let us know. Might be worth sharing, because there's certainly plenty that I have missed and I'm not able to keep up with myself. So help us out. Last week, I also talked about some eclipse activity. Last Tuesday, there was a annular solar eclipse in Antarctica, which is pretty cool. If you don't know what an annular solar eclipse is, that's also known as a ring of fire eclipse, where the moon goes in between the earth and the sun. But from Earth's perspective, it doesn't quite cover up the entire sun, leaving just a little bit of it visible, like a ring of fire. I had the chance to see one in 2023 in Arizona. Absolutely incredible, worth it if you ever get the chance. But it's likely that many of us didn't have the opportunity to go down to Antarctica to see this one. I have yet to see any images from any of the people on station down in Antarctica, if any had caught images of this eclipse. I don't know if any of them were in the path of this event. I've seen so much AI generated content about it, but I've not seen any real images. But nonetheless, images or not, it still happened, which also means that in just a couple of weeks, we'll be having that little partnered event, which is a lunar eclipse, which is coming up on March 2nd and 3rd, which will be primarily taking place over the Pacific, but will be visible all the way from Japan and Eastern Australia, all the way to the United States and some of the Atlantic. So be sure to be prepared for this event as it comes up. I know for me in the Central Time Zone, it'll be a very, very, very late morning kind of event, or early, but I guess so like 4 to 5 a.m., maybe 6 a.m. I think the event happens before it goes to the horizon. So it's gonna be very low in the western sky. If you're closer to the specific time, the Pacific time, that'll be better for you to see. So the further west you are, the better. If you're in the Americas, North and South America, East Coast, Central Time Zone, not as much, but still worth going out to see. Prepare for it and get your imaging gear ready. Have a plan. Know where you're going to go, and hope and pray for clear skies. Especially you East Coasters. I know you're getting slammed by a winter storm right now. Hopefully, all that nonsense clears out and you get a shot. So it's going to be a very, very good event. We like lunar eclipses. The moon will turn red, which is cool. And yeah, it's just one of those things that you just can't reconcile with your mind. I think all eclipses are kind of mind breaking. Like I feel like every time my head turns to mush, every time I see one. I've seen so many lunar eclipses now. I've seen 3 solar eclipses. Gosh, is it 3? 4 partial. I've seen another partial. Yeah. At least. I think. I'm trying to do the math in my head live. But we're getting there. Yeah, it's well worth seeing. Add your tally and don't miss it. Let's see. Let me catch up in the chat here. Okay, going back to the Van Allen belt conversation. Yeah, there is quite a bit of moon landing denial stuff about the Van Allen belt. And so maybe this will be a chance to help people better understand how that all works and could potentially disprove some of those conspiracy theories about the moon landings being fake, that humans can't go through the Van Allen belt and survive. If this mission is successful, should provide modern evidence and support to disprove those things. And Blue Eyed confirms here that says that the equivalent is that of going through a CT scan. So not that crazy of an experience for people, which is good to know. But we don't want anybody to get hurt. But luckily they've got shielding and protection and all the stuff they need to, and they're going the right speeds and the directions. And it all kind of adds up, creates a nice little safety snowball. Let's see here. Okay. Mr. Zaliro says, I'm excited for the astronauts who will get to see the moon up close with their own eyes. I can't even imagine. I know, dude. Like, just, and especially from such a distance. I mean, I know getting close is going to be wild, and trying to wrap your head around seeing all the craters and trying to even just keep up with the textures and the beauty of the moon. But when they go into such a far orbit and actually quite far away from it, but behind it in that deep space sector, they're going to be at such a distance that it'll be the furthest that humans have ever been from planet Earth. And they're going to get this view. I think that having the potential to see both the moon and the Earth in the same field of view, not just to get pictures, but to see it. I mean, my goodness, what a trip that's got to be. How many of you would pay to take it, let alone just take a ticket to go. Sign me up. I'm in. Um, Ron Colson, what's happening, Ron? Dropping in the chat saying, I missed Nick's opening. Just able to tune in. Was it as lame as usual? You tell me. Tan wasn't here, but here he is anyway.
And I am Tan, also known as Chasing the Milk.
Yeah. I had to get him digitally filled in here. I could spam it all night if you guys want. Just make sure every time hey, Tan, what do you think?
And I am Tan, also known as Chasing the Milk.
Tan, that's so funny. I'm so glad you're here. How was your trip down in Florida?
And I am Tan, also known as Chasing the Milk.
Oh, dude, you're just a riot, man. I'm so glad you're my co-host.
And I am Tan, also known as Chasing the Milk.
Oh gosh, my idiocy knows no bounds. Carrying on. Oh my gosh. I don't. Let's see. Keeping up. Oh, here we go. Here's some times and dates for the lunar eclipse. Appreciate it, Blue. If you guys want to see, it's on the screen. Look up your time zone here. Got them all listed out perfectly. What's happening? Ginger Zinger. I was gonna say Jinger Zinger. What's happening? Welcome in. Yeah, I believe Becca, you're gonna be in Hawaii for this event. That's insane. The best possible place to be. You're gonna be our on-site correspondent for this event. So gosh, we'll have a show on the 1st. So the time's not going to line up. But either way, the following week, you got to let us know. And please send your pictures. I would love to share them on the show if you have any. That'd be super cool. Let's see. Punky says, we here on the East Coast are going through things. Oh my goodness. Yeah. I mean, so I hear. Hopefully you're safe and you and your friends and family are safe and staying put and that all this kind of moves on. Sounds like a crazy, crazy snow experience. I'm catching up here on the chat, and this is yeah, that's hilarious. No pics? What? Just gonna chill and watch it. I guess that's okay too. Look at that. I was defaulting to like pictures, you know. Yeah, that. Who'd have thought? Like sometimes these events just need to be enjoyed. You guys, I think I stumbled upon something. What the heck? We can just look at something in the sky and not take a picture? Oh, marvelous. Crazy. Whew, brilliant. You're gonna be streaming it. That's fantastic. That's cool. Well, send us some clips. If you stream it, please send us some clips. We'll definitely have pics. Nice. Yes. Okay, great. Yeah, please share what you do. But I do like the idea with not taking any pictures for a major celestial event. Gosh, that would probably like curdle my blood. I would have such a hard time. I know when I was showing you guys my rocket launch videos 2 weeks ago, I remembered going to the 39A gantry, and the host of the event was basically like, hey, you guys, if this is your first launch, put the phone down, put the camera down, don't take any pictures, just enjoy it. And I was like, no, sir, I will not be doing that. I was like, I didn't pay for a flight and a hotel and tickets for this to just watch. What are you, crazy? Lunatic. I was like, no. And I doubled down and I got video and I'm really happy about it. But yes, I did watch a lot of it through a viewfinder. Maybe my mistake, but I was like, I can go back and watch another one another time. But no, I won't. I'll always be taking pictures. You can't convince me otherwise. It's not going to happen. But yes, I mean, hey, to each their own. I do appreciate the mentality of being at a major event and just enjoying it and kind of having a human experience. And then there are those of us sometimes who get so into the photography and the imaging and the image capture that it's part of our DNA, and it brings us joy. And it doesn't matter who you are. You can be a pro, you can be an everyday person. If you want to capture something, capture it. It's what you got to do. Let me know too if you're going to be live streaming the event. If some of you, I know some of you guys are creators who are in the chat here. Let me know. I'll feature you, and then people can point to your channel wherever you stream the lunar eclipse and get some support. Yeah, great. Cool. All right, you guys, let's transition a little bit. So one of the things I kind of wanted to do tonight was talk about NASA acronyms and space acronyms, because there are an infinite number of them, it seems. And we have mentioned some of these before on the show in the past, if you have been paying attention, which I know all of you are, right? Every single episode, every minute, all the time, all 75 pre episodes before this, prior to this. Yeah, you are all paying attention for every minute. NASA especially, but this goes so far beyond in the aerospace and astronomy world. Acronyms are helpful, right? There are a lot of large terms and highly technical terms and phrases that just are completely inefficient, because science generally isn't efficient with nomenclature, right? Like we have to come up with ways to get across as much information as possible in the shortest amount of time to keep science moving, right? And that's tricky to do. So I thought it'd be fun to kind of pull up some very popular ones, or at least more common ones, and maybe turn it into a little of like an educational game. No stakes, just for fun, but like I'll mention an acronym, and I want to see how many of you in the chat can guess it. And we'll try to keep the pace moving pretty quick. So get your fingers ready. Type on your phone, get in your keyboard if you're watching on a laptop or something, and get ready to chime in and take your best guess at what some of these are. And then I'll explain maybe what they are, at least give you the name of them, because that'd be fun. But let's see here. Let's start with like the bread and butter, you guys. Like this is like the pre-dinner. Hey, here, a little appetizer. NASA itself is an acronym. Drop in the chat. Let me know, what does NASA stand for, and do your best to not cheat. Don't hit up the Googs. Don't use AI. Don't ask your assistant. Don't ask. I don't want to say any of the names, because I'll probably set off all your devices. How cruel would that be? Is just like asking all your home assistants. I'll just call it the name and wake everything up, and then have them turn off your lights or something. But let us know. NASA, NASA, is an acronym, of course. Let us know what it means. And we'll just keep moving here. But I've got a short list, and some of them are a little more fun than others. I'm not gonna lie. Some are kind of just like, hey, basic stuff. Others a little more interesting. This might be a little tricky to keep up with, just because sometimes chats are a little bit delayed. But I'll do my best here. Boom, Tiffy dropping it in. National Aeronautics, Space Administration. Yeah, close enough. I'll give it to you. There it is. Day says National Air something Space Admin. Not quite. That's like a middle there. But there we go. NASA, not a space agency, says Will, Deep Sky Dude. I mean, yeah, quite possibly. That might be the most correct one. Becca says National Aerospace. Oh, okay. You tried, you did. It's okay. Points for effort. Great. So there's your kickoff. But let's dive into a couple other ones. Do you guys know what? This one's gonna increase the difficulty. I mentioned this one quite a bit. I actually think I mentioned it in this episode probably about 5-10 minutes ago, but I didn't say the acronym. I said the full readout. So LEO, Leo. What does Leo stand for in the space world? Let me know in the chat. Meanwhile, I'm gonna actually pull up one of the other ones just to make sure. Here we go. Let's get some of these other ones ready. So that's a good one. Maybe I'll just read off a couple of them. You guys just chime in. Boom, there we go. Everyone coming in hot. Dang. Ooh, look at all these. We got Blue Eyed, low Earth orbit. Ginger, low Earth orbit. Ron, low Earth orbit. Zalero, low Earth orbit. Tom Heil, low Earth orbit. Deep Sky Dude, Low elf organism. Punky, low Earth orbit. um, Becca says, I'm going to go with low Earth orbit based on everyone else's answer. There you go. The safest play. Just wait it out. Oops. Earth has 2 R's now. Trust. Yeah. Little evil ogres. You guys are getting creative. I love that. Let's do it. Let's open the doors, open the floodgates. You guys, if you have silly answers, drop them in. Maybe we should do a couple rounds where it's like wrong answers only. Let's do the next one here. Okay. Let's do wrong answers open. You're totally cheating, Punky. Oh, come on. That's okay. That's okay. Maybe we should do some dedicated cheating rounds too. All right, you guys, here's one. JPL. This is a common one. JPL. Wrong answers only. Do not give me the right answer. Here we go. Wrong answers only. What does JPL in the space world stand for? This is going to be fun. Oh, I love it. Just Pluto love, says Lero. Juicy pickle loofahs. Ugh. Ron says just purple leotards. Tom Heil says just plain lazy. Becca says Jupiter passes life. Bunky says Jupiter lacks. I love that kind of like conjunctive effort in there. Tiffy says jolly purple losers. Nice. You guys are creative. This is good. For the real answer, Jet Propulsion Laboratory in Pasadena, California. A lot of mission control center activity for Mars rovers happens there. And of course, sort of the engineering for some of these crazy deep space missions. And a lot more than that happens there at JPL. Very, 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 very good. Great job, you guys. Thank you very much. We're going to keep going. I've also mentioned this one quite a bit. This is maybe a low hanging fruit one. Let's do low or I was gonna say low Earth orbit or low hanging fruit. Let's do wrong answers only again. KSC. What does KSC stand for in the space world? Pretty common one. We've talked about it. Wrong answers only. KSC. Drop it in the chat. Ooh, I know what I'm gonna do next. All right, you guys, populate it. Let me know. Here we go. KSC. Becca says, keep seeking candy. Can't get out of Halloween. This is like Halloween hunting right there. October. Stuck in October. Punky says, kiss Space's cheek. That's very romantic. Very romantic answer. There we go. Blue says, I can't think. That's ICT. That's not the correct acronym. You know. Let's see here. Wait, this is also a wrong answer technically. KSC. Caitlin said China #1 for Caitlin McLean in the chat. That's interesting. Also with the clever conjunctive bunch up there. I love that. Very good. That one's a shout out to Tan. All right, keep them coming if you want, but let's just let's see. Last one here. Kite seeks clouds. There we go. Boom. It actually stands for Kennedy Space Center down in Florida, right where Tan was. Space Coast, you know, Cape Canaveral, right in there. Kennedy Space Center. Got a nice visitor complex, and where NASA has historically launched, where the Space Force launches. It's a big place. Moving on. How about this one? Let's go for right answers only. So let's holster the shenanigans a little bit, but also feel free to put in shenanigans. Let's do EMU. What is an EMU in the space world? Ooh. Should I give some hints? Should I let you guys know? Let's see. EMU. Really like to go for a walk outside in my free time. Um, really like to see the light and the dark in things. And let's see, no matter how cold or warm it is, I like to keep things temperate. Let's see. EMU, Becca says it's a funny looking bird. That is an emu. Uh, not an ostrich, but close. Tom says every monkey's uncle. um, Daniel says electromagnetic underwear. Uh, Blue says exploring microgravity universes. Ron says, does it have two legs and a bunch of feathers? Unfortunately, no, it's not a bird. It's a duck. It a duck. It is the extravehicular mobility unit. For those who are wondering, that is, of course, the spacesuit that astronauts and cosmonauts would wear going outside of a space station, performing our very next acronym, EVA. What is an EVA, you guys? Just gave you a big fat hint if you were paying attention. Ducks are not birds. Wholeheartedly agree with you, my friend. EVA. What does EVA stand for? Right answers only. Just give you a big hint, you guys. Drop it in. Even if you don't know the full acronym, tell me what it does. If you're wearing an EMU, what do you do? Oh, I see one here. There we go. Blue eye dropping an astronaut. Acronyms? Yep. Acronyms? Cosmonaut is such a cool name. I know. They do have a little bit of a cooler name. The Russians. Gotta hand it to them. There we go. Spacewalking. Not Christopher Walken. Spacewalking. Ooh, Matt dropping in the chat here. What's going on? Extra vehicular activity. Perfect. Nailed it. There's Tom jumping into support with the assist. I love it. Extra vehicular activity. So yes, this is when people do spacewalks. Astronauts will put on an EMU to do an EVA. Some of the most common space flight terms with acronyms. The space station with the space shuttle, going all the way back to when the first spacewalks happen, all the way. Gosh, where that was like, who is it? Who did some of the first? Why am I drawing a fat blank right now? My brain is shutting off on me. In the early space flight days, we've been doing EVAs for a very long time. Vehicular assembly. Yeah, says Caitlin. Ed White, was it Ed White? Thank you. I couldn't remember some of the names. I appreciate that assist there as well. Let's move on. Let's do a couple more fun ones here. I got a good one. This one a lot of you guys probably know, but JWST. What is JWST? This is a little bit on a different scale than what we've been operating with currently. But this should be a very common one in a lot of news articles because certain things get featured quite a bit from JWST. There we go. Zaliro dropping in James Webb Space Telescope. Oh, here we go. This actually, Day jumped in a little bit earlier. Jesus would stop this. What? Oh my goodness gracious. Oh, that is definitely a wrong answers only. James Webb Space Telescope. Yep, everybody coming in with the correct answers. There we go. Yep. So that one's pretty common, you guys. Kind of the premier space telescope out there, million miles away from Earth, providing us deeper and deeper views into the universe than ever before. JWST, way easier than saying James Webb Space Telescope every 5 seconds, but Maybe somebody could time me on that and see which one is actually faster and more efficient to say. All I know is that when you're typing it in a report, I'm sure NASA and the people working with it find it far easier to say JWST. Maybe not verbally, but um, Jimmy was sipping tequila. Yeah, that's yep. Well put. Um, great. Well, keeping in that same vein, here's the next one. HST. It's in the same vein. Let me know, what does HST stand for? You're not deviating too far. You guys gotta let me know. Right answers only on this one. Next one, we'll do a wrong answers. So you guys let me know. There we go. Day dropping in the correct answer. Becca. I swear, some of these keep like populating after the fact, after I click them. Becca dropping in as well. Yep. Hubble Space Telescope. Uh, Blue says, have Stephanie tickled. Yep. Yep. That's exactly what NASA has done since April of 1990. It was have Stephanie tickled. Exactly right. Yeah, Hubble Space Telescope still continues to deliver on imagery of deep space and near objects like our own planets, giving us information and data, helping us understand the universe, where we came from, how the universe lives, grows, expands, and the like. Pretty amazing piece of technology, the size of a small bus, operating about 300 miles above Earth in low Earth orbit. Has had many near catastrophic failures, but continues to deliver imagery and data, which is amazing. So think about this. Basically, it's like a 1980s technology jammed into this big tin can, and it's still doing work to help us understand the universe today in 2026. Hopefully, this is exactly how we'll feel about JWST in 40 years, or 35-ish years. We'll be looking back like, hey, remember that? Like, ancient 2010s technology is still up there in the JWST, and it's still giving us great imagery and data to help us understand where we came from. Yes, very, very good. All right, you guys, here's one of the fun ones. You ready? And I want this to be a wrong answers only one. Okay, you guys ready? Here we go. MAG, a mag. What is an MAG? And if you do know it, maybe hang on just a little bit. Just hang on a little bit. Let us have some fun. What is the wrong answer for MAG? This is a fun one. And I'll give you guys a couple hints. It's not a spaceship. It's not a space telescope. It's not a place in space. Let's see. Moms are great, says Becca. Yes, they are. Moms are great. Shout out to the moms. I don't care if it's not Mother's Day. Moms, we love you. Good job. Keep doing a great job. Where would we be without moms? Must aggravate gangsters, says Tiffy. Oh my goodness. Don't think you'll end up like Swiss cheese if you aggravate the gangsters. Marry a ginger. Oh man. Day, where are you at in the chat? My Aunt Gertrude. Money always goes, said Caitlin McLean. Punky, men are gross. What? Oh, come on. Some of us are men here. Take it easy. Kayla says Maggie. Maggie, what? Man, I know this one, but mega awesome gingers. There we go. Maybe astronauts get her done. Let's see here. Oh my gosh. What's up, Natalie? Welcome in. Looking forward to getting my limited edition Galactic Windows Space Podcast hoodie soon. Hey, thank you so much for dropping a purchase. I can't wait for you to get it too. I believe that everybody who ordered one last week, it looks like everything is shipped. So it's probably in transit for you. Congrats on picking up one of the OG crew ones. You're one of the OG crew members. Um, Mostly assembled gopher. Oh my goodness. What happens to the PAG, the partially assembled gophers? Nobody knows. All right, you guys, I'm gonna drop in. What is an MAG? It is a maximum absorbency garment. Ooh, what could that be? Maximum absorbency garment. Any guesses on what that might mean? What kind of garment absorbs things? Drop it in the chat. A towel? Close. Close. um, there's a couple people on the correct scent here. I'm going to choose not to feature some of those, but let's see. Here we go. Tom Heil. A diaper. Yeah, that's basically what it is. That's what it is. It's an astronaut diaper. It's like absorbent underwear for astronauts, because when you are jammed in a tin can, sometimes very compactly right next to your crewmates, and you're in a flight for several hours on end without access to perhaps, say, a toilet, sometimes you have emergencies, and the last thing you need is for a mess to go anywhere. So it's a way of containing things in the exact same way all of us were raised and brought up as little babies and infants. You wear a diaper. It's just the way things go. Sometimes humans never stop needing to go, so we got to find a way to contain it. And yes, they do wear them. It is very normal. I know they have been used, and I don't know how often. Somebody smarter out there than I can probably give us some data. But yeah, it's it's just what it is. A maximum absorbency garment. Yeah, it's a space diaper. So I thought we could end on that one, because that one's kind of fun. Like all these crazy ones. There's so many more, you guys. I mean, literally, it's endless. But I thought at least you walk away with feeling a little bit smarter. Make sure you tell your kids that one, if you haven't yet. If they don't know anything about that, if they're into space, maybe they're learning about space in school. Ask them if they know what a mag is, and then and then you can inform them, and they can, of course, ruin all of their friends' days. But oh my gosh, what? Hang on now. Tan just showed up. Tan says, "Hey Nick, I just got here. Can you redo the entire show?"
And I am Tan, also known as Chasing the Milk.
There he is in the house. Everybody shout out to Tan in the chat. Good to see you, brother. Tuning in from the far west. My goodness. Tan, I thought you were already on the show. You should go back and replay this whole program. You should hear the conversation I had with you. I promise it was productive and respectful. Oh my goodness. But yeah, seriously, entertain your friends with some of these. Let me see. Here's some other ones just to kind of blow through them. I know the game was kind of fun, but STS, that was a big one. How many of you know what STS stands for? So it was Space Transportation System, which was basically the official space shuttle acronym back in the day. So like I mentioned, 135 space shuttle missions from 81 to 2011. All of them were designated an STS number, from STS-1, with Space Shuttle Columbia, all the way to Space Shuttle Atlantis with STS-135, everything in between. I think there was even some strange like ones with like letters after it. Very important designation. So STS was a common one. MSL, Mars Science Laboratory, which is also known as the Curiosity rover. So if you hear them talking about MSL on Mars. JSC, Johnson Space Center, down in Houston, Texas. ARC, Ames Research Center. That's a big one. A lot of locations. Let's see here. Of course, we know the ISS, the International Space Station. Let's do a bit of a throwback here. Spirit and Opportunity rovers, which were kind of these like twin rovers on Mars exploring. They were known as the MER, Mars Exploration Rover. Going back to the Apollo, I'm going to pull this one out here. The LEM, like the lunar module, the lunar exploration module. That was common. You can hear those in the radio callback. They're constantly talking about the LEM. Hey, we're going back to the LEM. It's about 100 meters from the LEM. That was a big acronym. Let's maybe pull out like one or two more here. ECLSS, Environmental Control and Life Support System. That's only a little bit critical. CCP, the Commercial Crew Program, right? That's the one where they've been launching humans on SpaceX Dragon capsules. Crew 12 just launched very recently within the last 2 weeks. So there's your CCP. Not to be confused with like the CCCP, which is the SSSR, which used to be on all Russian rockets when it was the Soviet Union. That can be a little confusing, but luckily it's not in Cyrillic. It's in English alphabet. Caitlin McLean says CCP equals cheesecake, please. Oh, man. That sounds good. Yes. Oh, my gosh. Okay. I'm so glad you said this, Day, because this is exactly where I was going next. Do you remember which ones Herb Baker mentioned? Yes. So you guys, we had Herb Baker on the show last year. He worked for NASA for 42 years. And he had an awesome story in his book that we talked about when we had him on the show. And he was proposing, he was assigned with he was tasked with kind of creating a program. And because NASA acronyms absolutely everything, he had to come up with a clever name for whatever it was. And I don't remember what the actual word was, but it ended up being CRAP, and he submitted it for approval, not recognizing that the name acronym would actually be crap. So, but he said, luckily it didn't get accepted. It was rejected, not because of the name, it's just for other things. But he was like, we dodged a bullet there. That crap didn't come to be. So yeah, I'm so glad you brought that up, because my brain was going there too. Oh my gosh. Let's see here. Oh, here's another good one. I like this one. MECO. You guys heard of MECO before? Main engine cutoff. That's a big space launch one. That's like the thing you want to hear, MECO. So if you're ever watching a rocket launch on a live stream, usually, about 8 minutes into that flight, you'll hear MECO. And that's when the main engine actually ends its burn, and you've kind of basically successfully made it into orbit. So very good one. You also hear SECO, second engine cutoff, depending on the launch system. If they have two engines, like a Falcon 9, so the first stage, second stage, that sort of thing. Yeah, those are very good ones. DSN, Deep Space Network. That's the communication relay system that goes all the way out to Mars. So we can get some data relayed. So if there's a rover on Mars and it takes a picture, goes to the Deep Space Network, actually sends that radio data back up to a satellite in orbit around Mars, and that relays it with a stronger antenna all the way back to Earth for our satellites to receive. The delay, I believe, is about 30 minutes. So Deep Space Network. I hope one day that gets transitioned into laser communication, and we can reduce that down to a much shorter time. But DSN's a big one. We mentioned vehicle assembly building, the VAB, that's a big one. Solid rocket booster, SRBs. If you ever watch a space shuttle flight, or even Artemis 2 as it launches, you'll hear that they'll talk about the SRBs, the solid rocket fuel that's in them that burns to launch vehicles off the launch pad. Those, you'll hear that one quite frequently. Not many vehicles commercially will have those, especially SpaceX won't have SRBs. Everything's like liquid fuel for the most part. Gosh, so many good ones. I could go forever, but let's just call it there, you guys. Super fun. Oh my gosh. Wait, taco. What's taco? You guys got to come up with one for taco. I know it doesn't stand for Nick eating cheesy gordita crunch. Whatever that acronym is, I want that one. Steph, that is a different one. FOMO, yep. That's you guys are getting a little unhinged here. I think this is going to have to be probably tailored and trimmed here. We got to keep this one clean. Oh my gosh. All right, you guys, I'm over time. Tell me to shut up. And for now, here, we've been talking about lunar landings.
I'll go build build my own lunar lander with blackjack.
If you guys get that reference, you can complete it. Yeah, maybe after this, I'll go build my own lunar lander. All right, you guys, thank you so much for hanging out this week. Hopefully you had a little bit of fun and feel a little bit wiser, smarter in the world of space and astronomy. That's hopefully the goal that we achieve every single week, no matter who you are. And we, like we were saying, we appreciate having a little bit of fun, doing things a little bit in a silly way. I'm really looking forward to Tam being back because you guys, sometimes I'm just not, just not as cool as him. What am I going to do? I can't keep up with his coolness. He's inherently cooler with his mullet, but just a bit of a recap of the episode. You guys, if you want to support the show, one of the best ways to do that is to like and subscribe. You can subscribe to the Orbital Alliance. That's free. You could enroll in a membership here on the YouTube channel. You can give a super in the chat, which is also helpful, or you can purchase merch straight from orbitalalliance.store online. You can buy a shirt or a hat or a hoodie, and all those things, anything that comes towards our way, we will put directly into the podcast, which helps us grow and keep the show alive. But more importantly, it helps us do cooler things with the show. Gives us chances to hire on special guests or to travel and do on location things. This kind of crazier shoots. So we're not always sardine canned here in our studios, which is fine. But everything that you do supports the show with our hosting fees and the potential for doing cooler things in the future. Also want to recap too, we talked about Artemis 2 and how you should pay attention to the news going in. We'll bring that to you here on the show, but stay on the lookout, get excited, stay excited for Artemis 2, hopefully launching at the top of April. Also, the lunar eclipse coming up March 2nd and 3rd, visible in all the Americas and especially the Pacific Ocean. Definitely plan now. Now's the time to plan. Don't get lazy. Make some time this week. It's coming up next week. Gosh, next week? Mid next week? Is that it? Definitely enjoy it. And get brushed up on your NASA acronyms, your space acronyms, and let me know which one was your favorite one in the chat, or leave a comment here on the video. Let me know which one was your favorite, because, we got a little bit silly up in here, but hopefully at least one of them stuck and you won't forget it, But we'll be back next week for episode 77 of the Galactic Window Space podcast. We appreciate you listening, watching, and supporting in whatever way you can. And hopefully you keep looking up at the night sky. Have a wonderful week. We will see you all on the other side.